Well, hydrogen's been labelled one of the fuels of the future, and I'm here today with Gavin Knox, and he's the CEO of Hydrogen Fuel Systems, Pty Ltd. Gavin, tell us a little bit about hydrogen and what's some of the practical uses, and why is it all of a sudden in the limelight?
Well, as you know, my passion for getting into hydrogen to start with is because of the problem we're having with global warming. And if we don't do something soon, we're not going to be living on this planet. My family, my children in particular, they motivated me into getting into having some way of improving the environment and try to solve the problem we have of the excessive amount of carbon dioxide being released in the environment. So I spent some time doing some maths and doing some calculations and revised them a number of times and come up with an invention which works very nicely. So that's how I got into it to start with. I have a strong belief that we should be using more renewable energy. There was a conference actually in Perth. There were 400 or so people who attended the conference, and we had a great discussion and introduction to what the future of hydrogen is. It is the fuel of the future. At the present time, as you know, we're using large amounts of fossil fuels, diesel, petrol, LPG, gas, and that's producing a large carbon footprint on the environment. Now, I found out some time back that hydrogen can actually improve the burning process, chemical thermodynamic efficiency of an engine, and reduce the emissions significantly by making the fuel burn faster, more efficiently, and also getting rid of the particulate matter and the waste material which is extruded into the atmosphere.
It's one of the things that have really got my attention lately. I think most people don't know that any normal petrol engine that we're driving, with our cars at the moment, actually only has an efficiency of about 30-something%. So by adding perhaps a hydrogen kit, you could get a better efficiency out of that fuel.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Part of the problem with burning a normal internal combustion engine is that the burning mainly occurs all the way down the power stroke. Right. And then occurs out at the end of the power stroke, goes out the exhaust. Some of it goes past the rings, damages the lubrication properties of the engine, so everything goes downhill. Now, the big advantage of hydrogen is the hydrogen burns at 1,800 times faster than petrol or diesel, and therefore the combustion occurs in the first probably 5 to 10 degrees of rotation of the piston. And then you get a process called adiabatic expansion down the power strokes. There's no burning, there's no fuel to burn, it's all gone. You're producing more power, therefore you are getting the power required to attain that certain speed. And then, so there's no burning out the exhaust pipe, and there's therefore no carbon deposits, there's no tar deposits, there's no byproducts which tend to coat the valves, the cylinder heads, the piston, so which cause problems with hotspots, causes engines to be damaged internally. So the hydrogen's got a massive advantage is that it helps the engine produce more power, it cools the engine from inside, and saves the emissions of the greenhouse gases to the atmosphere.
But for the average person here in Perth, they could be looking at this as an alternative or as an option to add to their car. They don't have to go out and buy an electric car or hydrogen car per se, and reduce their fuel consumption, which means savings to their wallet, and at the same time save the environment in terms of from all the harmful emissions.
People have been reporting to me between 37% and 51% savings. Now, 51% savings is massive. Now, that's achievable on cars driving long distances, open roads, country distance.
It's amazing because I'm envisaging, because I really care about the environment, more of these trucks that are going to be on our roads and highways fitting these kits, cutting down the emissions, cutting down their fuel costs, which makes sense. But what about the average Joe who drives a car to and from work or on the weekends with his family?
The average Joe driving to and from work, he's probably not going to see the savings if he's driving 5 or 10 kilometres, because it takes a while for the engine to warm up to reach operating temperature. And that's a significant part. You need to have the engine going at operating temperature before you actually introduce the hydrogen. Whereas you're driving in the city or in the countries, or if you're driving 35 minutes to work, yes, you will definitely see the significant savings.
And what sort of costs are we looking at introducing this to a normal car, standard Commodore or Ford?
The Generation 10 system, which I use on a typical car up to 4 litres, is $3,950, and that's in the standard plastic box. Of course, the aluminium box and the steel box are more expensive because it costs me more for the enclosure boxes. The Generation 15 for the engines up to 8 litre capacity, that's about $4,500 or $4,650, and the Generation 20 for trucks, they're $5,500.
Thank you very much, Gavin. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you very much, Bass. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. I'm Bass Tadros for Undercurrent.